Evening, guys. Regarding my new gadgets, shall we say, my infrared devices, certainly one or two people in the past, they'll come out with the criticism. I think I've spoke to one person in particular about it. He actually turns around and goes shouting from the rooftops, "Oh, that's a dumb jammer! That's a dumb jammer! It's no good! I'll trigger massive error codes all over modern equipment." When this person refers to dumb jammers, I think it's layman's language for what would be called a barrage jammer in the correct terminology. This is where it detects some interference from up front, and you might be have your foot a bit far down on the pedal, and it sends out, at the time it was the LE10, it'll send out like 4 kilohertz of massive kilohertz of bright pulses, and at the time in the 80s and that would stop anyone getting a reading off you. But I mean, it was a very crude method, and going from what's been written about it, I think it was, with the optical output power of that unit, it was potentially harmful, to people's eyes, which isn't good. I used to use a different diode to this one, and it's actually a huge output. And apart from the fact it just wasn't needed, other than giving a fantastic display, which certain people didn't like in the US, where it dimmed the lights and it lit the an entire room up in infrared. Yeah, it really did, as you'd expect from a 75 watt light bulb or 75 watt laser. But it's really isn't necessary. It really isn't necessary. I mean, all the 2 or 3 parking units that are used on cars for ECM. When I was the first one to show it off, really, to expose it. I mean, certainly one of them, despite being, at the time they were saying there were 3 lasers per head, but it needs like 3 or 4 to protect an average sized car on the front. So it had 3 lasers ahead, but it needed 3 whopping heads to provide adequate protection, or more. I think it was one car we put 4 or 5 on. So basically, you knew they were talking a load of BS. Owners of said parking systems, we didn't like it, of course. They got the video took off, which is very easy, when you belong to certain communities. It's one major parking system which is very sophisticated, I'm sure, and it's supposed to be made in Croatia. I doubt it. I think it's probably shipped through Croatia, to be honest. But it's supposed to be very effective, and it's certainly very expensive. But it's a very good unit generally. But the fact remains that despite the claims of having 3 lasers ahead, it's actually had, it was 3 or 4, I think it was 4 60-cent infrared LEDs per head, plus the detector unit that I've got there. Anyway, I don't want to waffle too much, but if anyone turns around and said, "Oh, that old limey guy is a silly old sod, he's making dumb jammers," we're talking complete BS. We're talking out the ring piece, basically, because if it was any type of dumb jammer, it would be a barrage jammer, emitting a huge wave of, huge barrage of pulses, like a fence of pulses, not letting anything else through. And that's not the case for these. In these units, they actually do modify the input to a different output, put it that way. Anyway, I'll let you go, guys, don't want to bore you, but I'll try and do it in short form. But it's not if anyone tries to say this or several others are dumb jammers, they're not at all. They're talking out the backside. That's just to help promote their own sales, which they do like, of course, being the only person that sells them in the US. I mean, when people use these faulty laser testers and they burn their heads up, and it's clearly states in the instructions, I've read them, DIY testing is barred, We're not being held responsible for damage, but then the same salesman sells them these 50 cent to make BS laser testers to destroy it, knowing that he's the only one that can buy another system off. A bit atrocious really, isn't it? Just to make an extra. Of course he sells a lot more testers than he does systems, so you can understand he doesn't want to lose sales. And I'll let you go, guys, but I've got a big order coming. It might be here tomorrow actually, but it's going to be here very soon. Everything I need to make a whole load of these, and I've already had a few inquiries, which is very good. I'm knocking them out. Probably for anything that could even possibly imitate the behaviour of these advanced systems. It's obviously worth quite a lot of money, but in my case, you know, I'm like an older guy. I'm retired. I just want to put my knowledge to good use, and if, like in the past, if I can give people in Florida or Italy or wherever good value for money and they're pleased with the products, well, that's good enough for me. Everybody's happy. That's how I view it anyway. Good product that lasts well. It's not going to get abused, and I make my little bit for my labour. Well, I'm a happy chappy. I'll see you guys. Good luck, and God bless America, and God bless Western civilization, despite all those that want to see it fail, like the wokies.